What is going on? So in today's video, I'm just going to talk about this new tool that I got that has sped up my editing process by quite a bit. It's called a tourbox, and pretty much what it does is it takes all your short keys and you can put it all into one right on here. I'll show you that next. Quick pause, this is a lengthy video because I go into details about all the different buttons and everything that the tourbox has. So if you are looking for something in particular, I plan to add markers to the video, so look out for those at different points. In action in Premiere, and then different things that this thing can do. So we're gonna jump over to that right now. So now that we're over here, I have this overhead camera for the tourbox alone. I got the matte black one that comes in like 3 or 4 different colors, and you can see up here it's USB-C, and so we'll plug that right into the computer. You should get a little pop-up saying that it's been plugged in. This opens up. This is the tourbox console app, whatever program. Comes with pre-built templates or layouts or whatever you want to call them. Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere Edit, and Premiere Color. So I haven't used it for Photoshop or Lightroom. That's what it's kind of advertised more towards from what I saw. But if you go to Premiere Edit, I changed this to how I like it. But every key, every button has functions. Even if you double tap them or tap 2 of them at the same time, they all have stuff. A lot of it isn't set because I changed a lot of it for what I like. So you can kind of see the layout here. There's a side button, which I'm touching on the screen here as well. There's a side button, the top button, the scroll, which also can click. 2 custom buttons, C1 and C2. There's the tall and short buttons, which are these 2 here. And then obviously the up, down, left, and right little keypad here. And you also have the dial with a press as well. It comes preset, but I changed it for what I thought I wanted each of them to be. Now I'm in a project. This is an old vlog. This is actually my hockey videographer vlog, but I'm using my mouse to click around. Pretty much, take my keyboard, right, and I honestly just push it. I push it up. Obviously, you guys can't see that, but it's not in front of me anymore, and I just bring this down. Obviously, moving around my mouse, clicking around within the project. But I use the tourbox to zoom in. So I'm just scrolling up and you can see this is getting bigger and smaller. I used to press plus and minus on the keyboard. Now I can just zoom in and zoom out. I have this be my play button, this side button here. So when you click it, it starts playing 105 or 24 to 105 and stopping. And then this dial here. We'll move frame by frame, so if you want to like find a certain frame spot, that's super nice there, so you can zoom in and then frame over. The keypads is set for in and out points, so in and out, you can set in and out points clicking left and right. To clear that, I made it this button here, so press down on the dial to clear it. Up and down is my selection and cut tool, so instead of hitting C and V, you can just click up and down. That's not set. Normally I set it that way, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong. This top button here that you guys can see that I'm pointing at is my delete button. So if I were to go back to my select, zoom out, say I want to delete this last frame, just had to hit that, boom, frame is gone. Now if I didn't want to do that, I want to undo instead of clicking Control Z, because you can do that. But if I were to delete it, I have this custom button set as my Control Z, my undo. Redo is the other custom button, so that's redo and undo are these 2 custom buttons that I have set. This little button is usually your profile or template switcher, I think is what it comes stock. So on here, when you click this button, this tour button, it'll jump to this next, it'll jump through these. I changed it to be my control click. So if I wanted to, like, instead of hitting control on my keyboard and changing this audio, adding points, adding keyframes, now I just hit this button, do whatever I need to do, blah, 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 and move on. So my tall here is my alt button now. So if I want to duplicate this, I can just hold that button down and it moves it. So if I'm like wanting to mimic a clip, I can just hit this button, drag everything up. This button here, the short button, is my save. All I gotta do is tap that and it saves my project. So if I'm going through and editing and for Griffin's doing all my things, and I just tap that every once in a while, it just gives me a save and I don't have to worry about it. The dial here moves up and down the timeline at a larger portion. So as you see, it's moving this bar down here. So it's pretty much taking this one, but just doing big jumps. That's how it came. I didn't change that. I don't use that one really too often, but the click I use, because it's my shift click, this dial. I don't shift click too often, but it comes in handy enough to where like I wanted it to be a custom button on here. So that's what I made that. That's pretty much all the buttons on here. As you can see, there's just the one side button, all the buttons on top there, and then there's nothing, there's a little stoppers on the bottom so it doesn't slide around. I use this thing all the time. I actually forgot this because I take this to and from work all the time. I forgot this the other day, bringing it to work, and I had to use my keyboard, and I actually like got so used to using this that like I forgot buttons on my keyboard because I kept on wanting to reach over. So because instead of hitting spacebar to play the project, I just tap this. My hand just sits over here, and my pinky is just my play button, constant, and then my wheel. So I can wheel up and over. So I'm using my mouse to wheel over and then this to wheel up and down. I did take like a time lapse of me using the tourbox, and as you can see, I'll speed through that real quick, but you can see my hand pretty much never leaves the tourbox, and I just use my mouse to roll back and forth, do some clicks, and then I hit this one with my pinky mostly to start and stop. The side button here. Scroll, this does have a click as well, this scroll button, but I don't use it. It looks like what it just fits your whole timeline. I didn't even know that, to be honest with you, because I don't use that one. But every other button I use on here, and I set it up the way I like it. It can also do coloring. So when I jump into the color tab, I jump over here and I hit color. I do know you can set it up to auto switch when it checks it. I guess I don't really have that, like, see, linked. You just link it so when it reads this, it'll jump over to that, but I just have it where I just open this up. So now I'm in the color tab. Obviously this is colored, but if I were to reset this color, I have an adjustment layer on here with a coloring already on it. But pretty much if I go to this clip here, go to my base, each one of these arrows, each one of these now become my whites, blacks, shadows, contrast. My alt and delete are the same. My save, these three buttons are the same. This button is the same. The side button is the same. So you see this tour button is actually switch profiles, which I want it to be my control click or my control button. So to change that, all you have to do is click into it, and it has all the things that you can make it in Premiere. So if you go over here, go to Premiere, General, obviously you can see Premiere coloring, curves, all that stuff, but I want it to be my control. So all I have to do is hit Control, okay, boom. Now that is my control button. So pretty much when you jump into here and say I want it to be my black, see it pops up there. And now I can use the little wheel over here to slide back and forth. And you can see over here, if I go all the way, you can see it's moving my blacks. And if I want to reset it, I just hit it with the mouse. Let's open up my scopes here a little bit. And then I click blacks, drag that down to where I want it. We click whites, drag that to where I want it. Let's bring this over to a better shot. We go shadows. Let's bring that to where I want it. Contrast. We bring that to where I want it. And then we hit this right here. We get my highlights. We drag that to where we want it. That looks good there. And then for everything else, white balance. If I want to set white balance, I do just with the cursor. Say with curves. Let's restart those curves. You know, I go to set this where I want it. like there. So there's the before and after. And that was all done with just this, with the tourbox and my mouse. Another thing that the tourbox can do is it has a HUD that you can open up that usually opens up normally, but I think I closed it at one point, so it doesn't open up until you reopen it. And pretty much this HUD shows you what your arrow keys are doing. So shadows, it like you see it lights up over here. Oh, I have it covered, my bad. HUD's right here. So you can see it lights up and does all the things there. And if you hit different buttons, it'll light those up as well. See, if I so to get my highlights and saturations, I can also hit my side button and then my up button. I get highlights or saturations. Combination of different keys bring up different things. But if I'm back in edit, so if I were to go back into here and go to edit, see how the HUD here changes. That's where I keep it, but I realize that that's being covered up by this camera. So you got your selection tool, razor tool, mark in, mark out. A7. I also did set up this to be, if I hit the side button and up, that's my media export. So then it'll load my export, but you can also just hit it up here. Or what I used to do is Control M. So that is the tourbox. I think it is a helpful, so if I can plug it right now, it's a super helpful thing. Like I said, it's sped up my editing because when you just get going and you know where your buttons are, you can just click away and just go. Don't have to worry about holding your hand at a long, like having to do like control this or control that. It's all right here in one hand. Going, I don't know, I found it to be super helpful. It's sped up editing. Considering I edit all day, practically every day for work. The long projects have gotten shorter and the short projects have gotten even shorter because of this, and that's helped a lot. So this isn't an ad or anything. I picked this up just on a whim, got it as a gift actually, wanted to try it, and didn't know if it was gonna be good or not, and it's turned out to be a huge addition to my editing layout. Pretty much cannot edit without it at this point. So one quick thing I want to add is I would not say that this is a permanent keyboard replacement. I think it has helped me wonders, like I said, in editing, but it is a tool for someone that is a more expert at editing or want to learn how to edit quicker. I'm indifferent. I just found that the tourbox has changed my style and how quickly I edit. Super cool project. Super cool project. Super cool piece of technology. Yeah, we'll go with that. Tourbox. I think it's great.